I want to welcome Marta Diaz, who will be talking about uh, trying to explain the ROI of implementing data mesh. And just to let you know, if you have questions, you can put them in the chat, and we'll relay them to Marta, and then she'll answer those at the end of the session. So yeah, well, take it away, Marta.
Thank you so much, Paul. Well, first of all, I will share my screen. Okay, it's going. Well, hello everybody. Thank you so much for being here. I do appreciate the invitation for taking part of this data mesh learning community. So thank you so much, Paul, for the invitation. And as said from Paul, I will be talking about the data mesh journey, our experience at Adevinta Spain. And very important, the word trying, because I would like to discuss with all of you how to talk the language of business in terms of data mesh journey. How can we talk about the return of investment on all of it? Well, and first of all, I would like to present myself. I'm Marta Diaz. I'm based in Barcelona, Spain, and my background is on big data and BI, also statistics, innovation, and design thinking. I'm certified also in data management fundamentals and data governance. And during my experience inside the data world, I have been the privilege of participating in a disruptive way in a very important change management inside a company, inside Leroy Merlin, where I was participating on launching the data office, the starting point of a data-driven culture, being the first data product owner there, leading the first initiative as quick win for talking about data-driven and make decision with data and be sure that the business have the buy-in. So very used to talk about return of investment because it was very important to start the journey. And I was there also the data governance lead because every data product have to start with it. So it was something needed. And now I'm working as a product manager inside data platform, very different from Leroy Merlin, from a starting point as a data-driven culture. Because Adevinta today is a data-driven mature company, digital first. And here I'm working from the dark side of the data platform, bringing services, self-serve platform to the users for make decisions with data for build these magic data products and how can, as a data platform, help this to happen. And well, I'm also involved in different initiatives, like another associations, like Data Management Association in the Spanish chapter, and also I'm lecturer from different universities. And well, let's start our presentation. First of all, I will make a little introduction about Adevinta Spain, the company where I have the experience during this data mesh journey. I will be very focused on the why our data mesh journey start, because I believe that this is the most important thing to start to think about the why we start this journey, because this can bring us a focus on calculate this return of investment, this value for the company. Then I will explain our data mesh journey from a data platform perspective, the data products platform journey. Then I will try to talk this language of business, talking about the return of investment, not only a data platform as a cost, but also as an investment, and finally the conclusion. Let's start with Adevinta Spain. It's an online classifiers with presence around the world in 10 countries, when well-known brands have Subito in Italy, Kleinanzeigen or Mobile in Germany, Leboncoin in France, in Spain we have Milanuncios and Fotocasa. And being focused in Spain, that it will be the experience I will share with you. In Spain, we are the largest online classifier group. 1 out of 2 internet users in Spain connect to our platforms. We have a large amount of data, and as I said, this digital first company. And we have different marketplaces and different domains. We have to bring service this maturity inside the data-driven culture is inside every domain, inside every marketplace, and we as a data platform have to bring this service to them. And let's start with the why. Why we start this data mesh journey? Well, for talking about the why, I will start talking about different personas and what are they. So let's start the first point is the product tech. The different developers we have in each marketplace that are providing data to the analytics part. And what happens here is that they are implementing in that way new technologies like from monolithic architecture to microservice. And that means another way of consuming data, not relational database, were events. So it was needed a way to scale how to ingest this data and which service can bring the data platform to them for make this ingestor self and not try to find every marketplace or every domain the way of ingest this data. Then from a legal perspective, from the CFO and compliance, they want to reduce data managed risk at scale. They want to be compliant. They want to ensure the data security because, as most of you know, inside the European regulation exists the GDPR, and we are talking about a great amount of millions that will be fined. And another reason why we start this data journey, also in terms of scale, what's from a CDO data manager or data team perspective, they want to scale, they want to create new data products, they want to be autonomous in a cost-efficient way, and they have another handicap also that is the ownership. No, how the data is ingested from the operational world and how some changes from this size make that the data pipeline, so you have to solve inside your data platform. Know how to put this ownership on the producers for being sure that you have the correct data in every step and you don't have this rework, how to scale this part. And also, well, as we are a data-driven mature company, we have different data engineers inside different domains, but this is not enough for the needs. So we have another bottleneck that are the different data engineers inside the different domains. So you have to scale this autonomy for other profiles like analysts or why not product owners, no? Another persona that why this data mesh journey start is the product business that want to make decisions in tied to market. They want the data now and they want to know what is happening and they want to increase trust and understanding in data to make decisions, how to scale this part, no? And finally, we have our CEO. That's very important, not only from a data perspective, but also in every investment, that they want to talk about profit and loss. They want to talk about return of investment and want to talk about the cost and revenue. How can we sure, for example, that when we start a data mesh journey or a data-driven journey, we accomplish this return of investment? So for that reason, it starts our data mesh journey, because we want to scale all these concerns and all these problems, and we want to solve in a way that we were very focused, that was from a data mesh perspective. So we will go one per one. As I said, from a product tech perspective, the different developers will start with a monolithic architecture, microservice, and how can bring this service to the different marketplaces, to the different domains, because they are thinking about the latest tech solution, but it impacts in the way the data is consuming. So how can this data platform scale the way to ingest this data, no, and to consume this data? From a security perspective, as I say, they are thinking about how to minimize the data management risk. And here appears some questions the security and legal department is doing, like how much personal data is inside our the platform, and who can access it? Well, I can say to him, well, you have to ask the different owners, that are accountable of having this compliance. Or maybe you can ask the data platform with this control plane and can bring you all this information. Another question is, do we have personal deletion right guarantees? I'm sure that this is happening, and I have to ask one per one, how can I scale to have this answer as accurate as possible, as in the moment I need it, and how can I manage and audit what is happening with this data? No, the next profile is the CDO and data profile. That is, as I say, they want to time to market for solving problems. They want autonomy, and well, I put here they want governance, but because this is not happening, also, they are not always asking about governance, but are worried about governance. But above all, the one that is worried about it is the legal department that wants that the risk about data management is happening. And then finally, the desired outcome is to create valuable data products and business solutions at scale. So the questions that they are asking is, how can we be autonomous from the data engineer bottleneck for new development? As I said, it exists different data engineers inside every domain, but when it appears a new development, a new feature, how can I be autonomous at the scale and be sure that this is in time to market? Or how can data integration be accelerated? How can I scale the way I'm ingesting this data? And I put here also, how can we be compliant and not to die too? Because as most of you know, the data profiles are very focused on making solutions or answer questions with business. And they want to be compliant also, but they want that be as easy as possible, as easy scalable as possible. And one very important thing is how to be proactive, and how about the producer's ownership? Because what was happening, at the beginning is that we ingest data. Then once it's ingested, we analyze if it fits for purpose or not. And maybe if there are some changes inside the source, a dashboard is broken, an ML model is working, and we have to solve this change inside the data pipeline, inside our data platform, and it doesn't scale, and it's not proactive. It's totally reactive because we realize when something is broken. From a business perspective, they want to reduce risk in making decisions, and they want show me the data now. They want the data. And they want, as a desired outcome, increase trust and understanding, find the data they need, trust on it for making data decisions. And the questions they are doing is, I like to know if my new campaign is working or not. Where is the data? This data is discoverable. I can trust on it. Does this data fit for purpose? I'm doing my calculations right. I have one source or two, or I'm recalculating once again the same KPI. And finally, the ZEO. The ZEO is not show me the data, it's show me the money. Where is my money? This profit and loss. And they want a return of investment on data initiative, and of course on data mesh for all the change management that put inside a company for this scale. So the question that makes the ZEO is, why do I have to invest in data infrastructure and data governance? And of course, as a PM of data platform, I want to answer this question. Another good question is, what does it mean in terms of money to be data driven? And what is the return of investment of our data mesh investment? No, all of these questions is the reason why we started a data mesh journey. And now I will focus on our data mesh journey in terms of data platform. What are the different steps and changes that happens during the last years? So first of all, I would like to start with before what I call 2022, that it was an era we call self-serve infrastructure. When we were very focused on a reactive way, we were focused on the different domains, the different teams, bringing infrastructure to them with a building block that was this domain, this team, and bringing all the capabilities in terms of infrastructure, in terms of storage, scheduling, cluster provisioning, etc. So our focus was to have this cost of infrastructure split between the teams that were consuming this infrastructure. And we have a self-serve infrastructure, but what happens is that there were different experience. So every domain could have a different way of creating data products and these pipelines. And also what happens is that the accountability of teams, when the legal department asks, where are the PII, the accountability came only from the team's perspective, from the domain's perspective, because our data platform was very focused on giving the infrastructure, giving the solution, but it's up to you to use it or not to use it, or the way to use it. So you bring this self-serve, but different ways of using. And this, of course, maybe it's a lot of autonomy, but maybe it is not as scalable as possible. And during this era, our personas, our users inside data platform were 10% data engineers, because it was very difficult to make self-serve for other profiles. We were talking about infrastructure. So it was neither a technical knowledge for use our products, no, for use our self-serve platform. So during 20 and 21, over 10% of users were data engineers. Then after 2022, we were focused not only on the infrastructure plane, but also on this data product experience. So it was the era, what we call the data platform as a product era, because we were not focused on the infrastructure, we were focused on the experience, where the building block was not to have the infrastructure, set of infrastructure for the different domain teams, was the building block, was the data product. How to accelerate the creation of valuable data product, discoverable, trustworthy, with all the principles with the data as a product. We were not talking about cost per team. We were talking about cost and user for data products, because as our CEO says, they want a return of investment of what we are doing. They want a return of investment of data products. So it's needed to talk about the cost and talk also about the usage. And here the self-serve is not only the infrastructure, it's the experience itself, it's the way we are using, it's how to put the computational governance inside, the security by design, to be sure that the requirements from a legal perspective are happening here, and also the requirements for big trust from our business side. And here the accountability is not only from the teams, is shared with this experience that put the different process have to happen for this computational governance inside the process, and how to be by design for compliance guarantees. So with this, we can answer the legal department with this control plane, what is happening inside, and be sure that by design, we are applying the requirements legal ask us to do. And as you can see, well, we pass from a reactive to a proactive, because we are very focused on the value, on the return of investment, on the data product side. And what happens also is with this data product experience plane, we change totally the personas, the users of our data platform, because our users were not only data engineers, were also data teams, data analysts, and data science. And we start 2023 also with non-data profiles. With this data product experience, we have here product owners, we have also developers that are accountable for this ownership, we have also business that want to answer some question and want to explore the data also, and how with this framework, with this data product experience, they are sure what they are consuming and it scales. No, the data is near from them. So this is our journey, our full journey. Yeah, here. And this journey means that at the beginning, we were very focused on the data infrastructure plane from a data mesh perspective with all this infrastructure. Then after 2022, we were focused on the data product development experience plane for being sure that you have autonomy, you are self-serve, but it is scaled in terms of security, in terms of compliance. And we also start the mesh supervision plane for answer the question that our legal department and our CEO asked us to answer. Now, how many PII, is there a deletion right? How can we control what is happening inside our data platform with this building block that has the different data products? And how can we bring also information to our CEO, which is the cost, which is the value of each data product? Because the data platform exists because of this valuable data product. So until 2022, our conversation, we're talking about infrastructure. We're talking about, in our case, Airflow as a scheduler, S3, Redshift, Databricks. So the different infrastructure we have there for creating these data sets, creating, analyzing this data, and so on. So the different users were taking the source, getting the Salesforce infrastructure, and creating this data set. Well, the data engineers, as I said before. And what happens after 2022? Well, we were focused, as I said, on the data product development experience. And that means that we were not talking about infrastructure, storage, S3. We were talking about this building block that is called data product. So we were talking about source aligned data product. We were talking about aggregated data product and this consumer aligned data product. And how this data product development experience makes this abstraction of this data infrastructure, the infrastructure layer. And we here bring a framework for discovery, what we call a data product lab, where all the users, we are talking about POs, we are talking about analysts and business people, can discover, explore the different data products. They can do some transformation during certain times, and they can prototype what they exactly need, or making a fast query for answer some questions. And then inside the data product development experience, we have what we call, the data product builders, that are the different frameworks that bring us this abstraction of infrastructure and put the governance in play. Make sure that all the metadata is collected, being sure that we have the observability, being sure that this metadata is informed to the data catalog, for being sure that this is discoverable, understandable, and putting different governance by design, like the minimization of personal data, like being sure that it has an analytical purpose at the beginning, putting this governance to the left. And on this term, we have different solutions. We have the data ingestion for creating a source aligned data product, aggregated data product, and also data consuming suite that is more focused on probably on analytics part, where they can create these data products to connect to a dashboard and then create lovely visualization. So this was our, this is still our data products platform journey, because as most of you know, this is a journey, it's a never-ending story. And how can we pass talking from a cost, from a data mesh and data platform as a cost to an investment? Well, how to pass from this picture, talking about the different technologies, the different infrastructure, the cost of everything, as a data platform as a service that is bringing this part, so we can talk a lot of a cost. And now we talk of you are an investment, you are not a cost. And you are an investment if you can answer or can help these personas to answer the challenge or the question that they were bring before, no? The why we start this data mesh journey. So from a product and test perspective that they want to scale from monolithic to microservice, they want a self-serve platform, one of the principles of data mesh. From a CFO, legal and compliance perspective, they want computational governance, being security by design, this control plane to be sure what is happening inside your data platform, what is happening with all the data products the users are living inside. From a ZDO, data manager and data teams perspective, you're an investment focus on data-driven data ownership, so being sure that every data product has an ownership, putting the ownership also to the producers and organizing these domains inside your company. Also, with a self-service platform that can bring them the autonomy with this data product development experience, with this governance by design. And from a product business perspective, as they want the trust, discoverable, they want the data as a product with all the principles inside for being this data trustable, discoverable, valuable, and so on. And from a ZEO perspective, he wants the data monetization and this control plane that brings him information about the data products we are building, the cost, the value, what ML models we are creating with it, what recommenders or which kind of information or which kind of decisions we are making, which is the most critical data inside our company. So as you can see, I'm talking about the 4 principles on the data mesh. So the solution for not be a cost and be an investment is have very clear these principles and have this data mesh paradigm shift and talk about the platform as a service, as a product, that is bringing capabilities for creating and for being sure that we are maximizing the value of the data with these data products. So I would like to share with you different learnings for how to go from a cost to an investment. First of all, for teams being accountable, for teams think about the cost and think about the value, the data platform must provide them observability and monitoring. They have to know who is using this data. They have to know which is the cost of every product. This infrastructure, which is the use for creating this data product, for the storage, and so on. So you have to pass from a data platform cost every month with the storage, number of data sets, cluster processing, SLI, SLO, NPS, the satisfaction, to start thinking in another mindset, a data platform data-driven with observability, explainability, proactivity that brings you the cost not per month or per team, but also per data product, the storage per data product, the percentage of data product you have inside your platform. You have data sets, you have data products, the efficiency, cluster provision, and availability, because you are accountable of how efficient are the different data pipelines. You are accountable of using well your cluster provisioning, and also you have to put data products usage, all the observability, all the metadata that's inside, who is using the data and how long. So you have to, from act, to think about what is inside your data platform. And here we have some examples that we have been implementing inside Adevinta Spain. We have one dashboard for cost, and we started with the teams, they knowing exactly which was the cost in terms of infrastructure of them, and trying to talk about a threshold for having different analysis, what is happening, and start to thinking about the cost of every job they were using. And they start being accountable of their cost, because it's not for free. So the platform has a cost. And part of this sort of investment is just this cost efficiency. And another part that was also important for us as a data platform is bring also observability from a value perspective. So we have different dashboards. One of them is who is using the reusability of all the data products and also data sets, because it helps a lot of data with data purging, with a lot of data set that we have with no value for the company, and also bring information about the first step of value is to know which is the reusability, how many access you have, or how many dashboards are connected with this data product, of it is the input data of an ML model or of whatever. So we start with this part, with knowing the number of access, and we are working on different ways of analyzing. Also, for example, who is using this data, which kind of queries are doing the different users, because it helps a lot to the data product owners to make the next release, or knowing how the users are using the data products. So first of all, this part, how to be accountable for this return of investment. Well, I need the observability, and I need some data for knowing and make the good decisions. And here, different kinds of analyzing this information. A number of users, it depends on during the time. Another learning, for producers being owners, the problem with the bottleneck, with how to solve the source problems or the changing inside the source, the data platform should help by providing producers and consumers with an automated solution for data agreements. So first of all, of course, producers and consumers have to arrive to an agreement, and the data platform, how can bring them a tech execution that this is happening in automated way, And we are talking here about data contracts, about this agreement that has this tech solution, and help the business and the analyst and the CDO on data trust and understanding. So we are working on a circular communication with the producers and the consumer are talking, have this data and agreement, and the data platform enables a solution for put this agreement into a document, into a JSON file we can see here, where we can see the location, if it comes from which Kafka topic, what are the columns, the format of the different columns, who is the owner, if something happened, and if there's any change on the source, there's another version of the data contract, there's an alert. So we have a proactive, as we see before, we don't want to be reactive, we want to be proactive. It's the way. In the moment something is broken, it appears an alert, and the producer have to change, and the producer has this ownership, because and the producer has this commitment and this data agreement with the consumer. And here the data platform is an enabler. So a change management also needs to happen. So we evolve now with a circular, that we know exactly which data is coming inside the data platform, because we have this agreement, we have this data contract, and if something is broken, I have an alert, so I know exactly if it fits for purpose or not. From before, that we were ingesting via API or via an event, all the data inside the data platform. Once inside, the consumer and the data engineer analyze if it fit for purpose or not. And suddenly something was broken because the producer doesn't know that we use this data, something is broken. The data engineer have to know exactly what is happening, what this data visualization tooling is something broken, and you have to investigate. The consumer is there, why is happening, and you have to solve it during. So probably here the trust that we gain with the circular solution is better than the other. Another learning from a legal perspective, from legal requirement to legal partnership. What does it mean? What was very important for us is have the buy-in of legal. That means to share this governance by design for be sure that all the legal requirements were applied, and also guarantee them the control plane. And this helps a lot inside our change management, because suddenly our legal department were talking about the lovely data contracts, no, that bring them to know what is inside the data platform, if there's any PII, and ensuring that we are minimizing the ingestion or of PII that has no analytical purpose. How can we minimize that? So we make this also with data contact, and we have also a part that is more declarative for creating this source-aligned data product, where the producer and the consumer have to put which are the PII files, the personal data information, and if it's needed for analytical purpose or not. Because if it has not an analytical purpose, it will be not ingested inside the data platform. So we are minimizing this part. And if it has an analytical purpose, the legal department has to say, okay, this is okay, the reason why you need, but maybe you can think about a plan for trying to minimize this part. But in every step with this framework, the legal department has this information and know if a new personal information is inside our data platform. And of course, we put here also the ownership, the time to the retention period, that it's also a requirement from a legal perspective, and so on. Another learning that was needed for the business and also for this data team: empower self-serve data product development at scale with effortless governance. So being sure that you are creating a valuable data product, but with the requirements of legal and with the governance, for being sure that by design you have all this metadata, for being sure that you can discover this data, you can trust on this data, and this data is secure. So on this side, we were talking about what I have been talking about, no, the data product development experience, and these different frameworks that bring not only the self-serve infrastructure, but also this experience with the computational governance and with the different process that make sure that this is a data product with data as a product capabilities. And some examples. No, we have some use cases that we were very focused always on value for the business. So we have some use cases that, as the data engineer was a bottleneck, the data analyst and the data science were getting the data from the data platform, creating a script on Python on their laptop, building a model, then bring it with an CSV to the final user. So, well, it's this is not scalable because it was manual, and also is not secure at all. But the problem here was I need to solve this problem. I want to scale, but I need time to. I have to build it in time, but with governance. No, so now we create this level of abstraction. No, when we have access to the data, we have a template with a repository and template with that makes the user being autonomous for creating this data product in an organic way, that create also the observability, and also before there's a data owner that takes care for it, and also a data engineer. But suddenly this data analyst and this data science can scale and create new data products and industrialize this part, and without the bottleneck of the data engineering. Another use case that we have, that probably this is a problem we have today, this bottleneck of the data engineers makes also that the logic or the creation of new KPIs happen inside our database solution, our Tableau. That means that when a KPI have to change or some changes, the data analysts have to remember every dashboard where this calculation was done. And this happen different errors, no, in terms of trustworthy or the data. This was not scalable and it was ungoverned. And how can we can bring a framework, in this case it was based on DBT, for create these reports, this business logic inside, in this case, inside the data warehouse, inside Redshift, for them, this information, this data set, connect with the dashboard, and not to make this transformation in the different ones. So we make once, and we are sure that we have only one source of truth. Another example is the part of the data contrast that we have also this part of declarative. So, and before we were ingesting all the data in once inside, we were analyzing. So we were ingesting a lot of personal data that was not needed. So, and now we, as you see before, the user, the consumer and the producer have to define if this has analytical purpose or not for minimize. Once all it's okay, the check of the data contract is okay, and this is already for consumption as a source aligned data product with observability and so on. But if something is broken, it appears an alert to the producer for solving this problem, and also to the consumer for knowing that the producer have to solve something. So it's very proactive as our users ask us. Another learning that's very important is that implement data flow observability to understand consumption pattern and monetize effectively your data market. And this came from the CEO. So as a GNA model, I put here, how much are we willing to pay to access amazing data products, trustable data products? So this is more a dream, and I put here an example of with words, but because it's true that we are working on it, for having this graph with all data products, considering both cost and usage, but also because I have been talking of usage in terms of number of users, or reusability of the data product, what ML models are connecting with it, we have to incorporate also the contribution to the business. And we know inside Adevinta, we have a recommender that is bringing the 30% of our leads. Well, which data sets are the input data? Which data is the input data for this recommender? Because the creation of the data product itself, it had value itself, because this reusability, as this percentage of the time the data science is not preparing the data, is just consuming, it's very it has this return of investment for the company. Or another use case is next to call, increasing the conversion rate, or the chat assistant that is reducing the 80% of the user requests. So we have to know the lineage, which are the data products that are contributing, and as much use cases you are contributing, as more valuable you are, for the company. So how much, having this marketplace of data product, how much you will pay for this data product, for that the input data for your data, for that have this input data for make decision with this dashboard or with this ML model on whatever. And finally, the conclusion with all of this, trying to talk the language of business, is that for calculate data mesh return of investment, you have to start thinking about why you start this data mesh journey, the different personas, or the different things you want to scale and to solve, and this control plane, these different data product development experience, these data products. In your data products platform, you have to understand it as also as a provider of this observability and monitoring, for being sure that you can give a number, and you can give also data, being data driven, for answer the different questions of the different personas, for being sure that you are not only cost, you are also an investment. And that's my presentation. Thank you very much, all of you. I hope you enjoy. And well, I would love to exchange your point of view and your challenge, that are a lot. And here we are trying to calculate the return of investment. All
right, yeah.
Trying to solve this business more near than years ago, but still working, of course.
Yeah. Well, that seems to be a common trend. So,
Yeah.
yeah, thank you so much, Marta. Well, we do have one question from Stefan, who asked, Uh, how do you ensure that the data product platform is suitable for all your marketplaces and regions? And then linked to this, do you see trade-off between flexibility and standardization?
Well, how to be sure is just define this data product development experience in terms that which are the value you are bringing to them, because of course you have to work on the change management. Before 2022, as I said, there was different ways of creating data products, and we start to create a unified way, no, an experience to create data products. So it's a journey, of course. It's something that you have to be very focused on the most valuable data you have inside, and having this observability, this trustworthy, all this part. Well, because the different marketplaces say, okay, I want alerts for being sure that the governance is put into the left. I want also that the producers are owners. So it's true that you have to demonstrate with data which is your value for then get the buy-in. And of course, it helps a lot also having the legal department with you, as I said, because the question about the legal department about how many personal data you have inside the data platform, I say, well, the ones that are using my data product development experience, I know exactly, but I don't know what the ones that are not using. You have to ask them. So the legal department starts saying, hey, I want to know. You have the question, a quick question, because if not, there's a framework that can help you. So it's just not to trying to push, but trying to put the value you are bringing with data product development experience. Because it's not only changing the way you are doing, it's because it's needed for having this observability, this data management, this minimization of personal data. So, well, it's a journey, of course, and at the beginning, of course, you have to start with the quick wins, with the marketplaces that wants to go more in deep, that wants to trust on their data, no, and for that reason, we start with something like the analysts, no, that were creating some logical inside the Tableau. Probably this is not the most valuable, but for them it was very valuable, and they were very grateful. And one thing that we cover also is that they come to our demos for present our solutions. No, because they see the value. Probably from a data engineer perspective, it's not so easy because they have a way of doing, and you have to work more the legal department where you have the PII, you have, but with an analyst that once did this autonomy scalable, these use cases help a lot to understand the value, because suddenly we accelerate business problems that were not solved at scale. And sorry, because I think it was another question.
Oh, sure. Well, I wanted to
Yeah.
follow up on that in terms of like getting buy-in. Is it more challenging to get buy-in at like the C level or at the data engineering level or both?
Uh, as always, you have to bring data in. No, so the most important thing is not to speak with feelings. No,
Hmm.
I'm feeling that the data platform is not governed. No, I'm feeling that it's very difficult to create data products. So you have to bring data. For example, in our case, the number of users of the different data sets. We discovered that there exist some data sets in the data platform that there has no owner or no users in the last 1 year. So suddenly it says, well, if we continue like this, we will create garbage inside our data platform, and that doesn't make change. How can you bring as a data platform, bring data for have the for have yes, this data for talk the for talk not with feelings. So what can we solve? Well, we can solve the 30% of the data sets we are creating are not using, no? Or we are creating one data pipeline for one data product. So the reversibility here is very important. So I would say that trying to have as much observability as possible, what is happening inside, and have this buy-in of the legal department, and also, why not the CEO, no? If the data product have this data product development experience, I can bring you the cost, no, of it. I can bring you the return of investment of this part.
Okay, thank you. Well, and there's another follow-up question from Stefan. So how exactly is the ROI value calculated? Is the value calculated as a euro value? If so, how do you manage to measure indirect effects?
Well, as every calculation, we start with an MVP. The MVP is what we can achieve today, no? The quick win for calculate the return of investment. And in that case, the most easy was to know how many access has this data product. No? So as an MVP for this return of investment, we can start with it. No? And then incorporate, as I said, well, let's know which use cases we are creating with this. And finally, we would like to talk about heroes, as you said, but we have to start with something. So not to be focused also only on the euros, focus on the reusability because this brings value, and focus on know what are the different users doing with your platform. So for answer you, we start with the number of reusability, no, which data products were using it, and we will finish with the hero, but today we don't have the hero. But what we are trying to achieve is just to know this lineage and ask the final users, the data science, in this recommender, which is the revenue that it's arriving. For then, calculate this. And finally, I would like to put value to all our data products, and the data science says, well, I want to buy this data product, no, for having this data marketplace. But today, I don't have the hero, Stefan. I have the more dear we have, that is the number of users and different dashboards, or when this is used. So something that is bring us the value in other terms. So I would say that it's just to start and think about as much as possible on the next iteration for having this euro for then putting for the zero, no?
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you for answering that one. I have another question from Atanu Duta. Sorry, hopefully I pronounced that correctly. Can you recall what are the challenges you've faced when the paradigm shift happens towards data mesh and how you resolved?
Well, as a data platform, probably the infrastructure technologies have to advance what is coming, no? Because if you start with the domains, but your platform is not ready for it, so the most challenging how to accelerate the data platform capabilities for trying to balance also the change management instead of define the different domains, that it doesn't depend on the technological place, it takes place on another way, and how to also evangelize with the governance. And for that reason, we strongly believe how to solve the GDPR or the legal requirements to be best is to have the buy-in with the legal department. So the main challenge was to accelerate the technology to be prepared for what is coming, and trying to balance the changes inside and well, a lot of change management, and we were trying to have as much partners, as much evangelists as possible. So once a user was creating a data product, we say, okay, you have to come with me and explain it. No? And once the legal department have the buy-in, okay, please explain you. I don't want to explain the lovely things a data contract can do for you. I want you to evangelize. So it's not a work for one platform or one. It's trying to get as much as possible evangelists, because if not, you will be fighting with everyone inside the company, and the change management never happens. No, because well, you have to start with these early adopters for trying to get more and more, and very focused on, of course, on valuable data products. What are the data critical and the main problems? No, which is the main problem for SEO? No, the data more relevant, and if there's any problem with data quality, how can we solve it? No, with this framework, with this experience.
Yeah,
So well, yeah,
that's
and
really,
well, the challenge it appears every day. I
yeah.
have to tell. No, it's never a never ending story. No, but well, very focused on just on the observability, I would say, and getting all the partners as possible or have this buy-in and not to talk alone, and try to convince with data.
Yeah, that's a really interesting perspective because you mentioned a couple times getting buy-in from the legal department, which
Yeah.
I hadn't heard before as like the sort of initial plan of attack, but that makes a lot of sense. So yeah, it's an interesting perspective. Well, we have another question from Mark Planaguma. Sorry, if hopefully I
I
answered
know
that,
very
said
well.
that,
Yeah.
pronounced, hope I put the accent correctly. So when I joined 2.5 years ago as the data platform and governance director at Adevinta Spain, so must be a colleague of yours, I told Marta,
Yeah, yeah.
I told Marta that we would evolve to data mesh in 3 years with varied initiatives. I
Yeah.
want to ask her what she thinks has accelerated this transformation we have achieved at Adevinta Spain.
Well, it's true that when Mark arrived at Adevinta Spain, he told me 3 years, and I remember telling him, no, in 3 years, no. I'm an action person, and I want to. Well, of course, there's an MVP. We can do something. We can find the correct use case. We have to this buying. So we accomplished in 2 years, I believe. Having all this data product development experience, of course, it's needed change management in some ways, but having a complete vision of what we want to achieve and why we want to achieve, these were there, and accelerate the transformation, uh, thinking back, no, on the different challenges we have there, and of course the different data engineers or the different person that was saying why we have to implement data contracts. It's more easy for me to ingest directly the data, no, and and what's very interesting to have the buy-ins of the developers, no, and suddenly when they were talking together, the developer says, oh, you need this data, maybe I can create you an event more near what you want. So it is that a conversations that before never happened. So I believe that of course we have accelerated this transformation, but as I say, probably the technology have to think before, because if you don't have an implementation of data contract, it's very difficult now that this conversation happened, this agreement, but how to be sure that something is broken or not. So asking Mark, I think that we achieved in less than 3 years, as you said. And of course, thinking now all the changes that happens, I believe that the technology have used a lot, and we have learned a lot about the first conception, and then trying to make it happen with an MVP, with an iteration with the user. This is the more useful for you. So it was a hard work, but always together. The thing we achieve, and I'm more happy too, is that we create a team of
Yeah.
database lovers, no, and this is incredible because they find the value, no, but you have to think about what you want to achieve with this database and how can I solve as a database initiative for this part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we are at time.
Oh,
So, well, I will. So for the remaining question, maybe I can add those to Slack, and I can maybe you can answer that last remaining
yeah, okay.
questions. But yeah,
No
thank you
problem.
so much. Really appreciate your time. That was really
Thank
interesting, a
you.
very unique perspective that I hadn't heard before. So, thank you again for joining us today, and we'll be posting this on YouTube, so you can watch it again if you want to. And yeah, we'll see you later.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for joining, everybody. All right, have a good
Thank
day.
you.
Bye.
Bye.